Welcome to Modern Entrepreneur. I'm Landon Ray, and today I have Patty Aubery. As the president of the Canfield Training Group, Patty Aubery is overseeing the growth of the publishing industry's first billion-dollar brand, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And she's created a multi-million-dollar training company around the success principles of author Jack Canfield. She's expanded these programs into 108 countries. She's now dedicated to bringing that experience to women entrepreneurs, teaching audiences and small groups the principles of success and strategic career planning. Patty is the go-to coach and mastermind partner with some of the top names in the training industry. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
You're welcome.
Although,
thanks for having me.
I will say that it took you less time to be here than most because you're right here in Santa Barbara.
I am,
awesome.
Which is great.
Yeah. So you've been at this, I think I just said, for quite a long time, and you've obviously learned a ton along the way. And what would you say to your younger self, your career starter, Patty, that a piece of advice that would have made the whole journey smoother, less painful, faster? What would it be?
I don't know if I could have made it any faster because of when we started.
Yeah. I
think the first book we had an email address that was soupforsoul@aol.com, if you can imagine.
There it
and
is.
All you ever heard was your mailbox is full.
Right.
I don't think I could have made it faster, but I think what I would have done is I probably would have enjoyed it more. I just had a baby, so I was really struggling with the whole guilt and staying home and working and running a company and building a huge business. And do I stop what I'm doing after 5 years of working really hard to finally get something off the ground, because it took that long to actually make it go. So I think I would probably just really cut myself some slack and really enjoy it and be present wherever I was, whether I was at work or I was at home.
Yeah.
It was that constant struggle for me.
How do you make yourself enjoy it more?
Well, I would have enjoyed it more by not beating myself up when I was at work thinking I should be at home, when I was at home thinking I should be at work.
A break.
So just saying, you can't have it both ways. I mean, it can't be all things at the same time.
Yeah.
And so really it's not about quantity, it's really about quality.
Yeah.
Whether it's quality content, quality stories, quality time, whatever it is, with your wife, your kids, your husband, that's really the thing I think I would do differently. And I'd have the confidence to do that.
Yeah.
Big deal.
I had a business that I started before this one that I hated. And it was like actually the design of the business, the kind of people that I had to have there, the relationship that I had with the customers. It was just not designed in a way that was ever going to be any fun. And so when I started this one, I had it in mind to try to design a business that could be enjoyable, which I think was an important first step for us. Can you imagine how you might build in systems or a strategy like that? What would that be?
Well, actually, that's. I'm glad that you said that, because it definitely was the situation for us as well. So I had 230 book titles. Started off with one a year, and at the end, before I sold it, to 18 books a year I was publishing. Yeah. And the one thing I would have done very differently is vetted who was going to be an author. And you say have a clear vision and you set these goals, but unless your vision is so crystal clear, you have the potential of becoming somebody else's agenda. And as you know, I'm sure, when you start to get successful, people start to come out of the woodwork and everybody has an idea. Yeah. And so for me, it took a while and a lot of pain and suffering of not having qualified people show up and do what they were going to do, to finally say, wait a second, I'm going to proactively really figure out who I want to go after and bring them in. Yeah. And that was a game changer. It changed my life because it made it much more simple. Yeah, I can imagine. So what is, you got a lot of stuff going on, and have done so much over the years. What do you feel like your kind of unique skill set is that's made all that possible? I'm crazy. I wasn't a good student. And so I was constantly sort of daydreaming, and I really think outside the box. I like to live 5 years out, and so I'm someone that is always looking at what's next. And I've learned over the years to really support myself with an incredible team that's willing to do the right now, the present, so I can be working in the future. And I would say that's probably my biggest thing. I'm very intuitive and I'm pretty visionary.
So you're focused 5 years out on the vision that you're working to create. Where does that come from? Are you looking at like trends in the industry, or are you literally on the inside, like the world that you'd like to see?
I only do things that come to me through some sort of divinely inspired thing. I don't know what it is. I have to be completely inspired at some level, and I know when I get, when you get that kind of goosebump, like this would be an amazing idea, or something comes to you. That's when I know it's time to act on what's next. And I really only go by that. I've never gone by what's anybody else doing. I check out what's worked and what hasn't worked. For example, I just started a new company called GoalFriends, and it's sort of like a BNI. Have you heard of BNI?
Sure, yeah, Business Networking
Industry
International. Or
yes,
something like
Business Networking International. So I called Ivan Meisner, the founder and CEO, and I said, Ivan, I've got this idea. It's kind of like BNI, but it's only women, and they get together once a month, and they have a little workbook, and each month they start with a bucket list, and they start to set goals, and they do this throughout the year. They meet once a month. Tell me all the things that I need to know. What should I not do? And so I get coaching on that kind of stuff, but mostly it's just it's kind of where I feel like I need to go typically, and I follow that.
I'm getting the sense that you're kind of like at a place in your business that's obviously mature, and at a place where you can kind of do what you want. Like you've got such a reputation and such a huge list that the idea of like, I'm going to start a new thing. It's like you've got the resources to sort of make that successful, and you may not, and I could be wrong here, but you may not be struggling like many of the people in that I'm surrounded by. To figure out how to grow a list or to make a Facebook ad work.
I'm completely struggling with that.
Oh, good. So tell us about that.
I don't know anything. No, it's interesting. I'm really glad that I came to this because it really opened up a whole new world for me. As far as I have a social media team on the Canfield side, and we've 1 million people on Facebook and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But some of the things that I've been really wanting are really creating buckets.
Yeah.
And really specifically going out to individual, like really you, not the whole world. And not listing, if you're this or this or this or this, like really, if you are this one thing. It was so confirming for me today. I completely struggle with that. And I have a team that's working on, like you said, we have luxury retreats. We have a new online certification. We do a year-long, like a 1-week seminar every year. That's 5 days. In the summer, we have 1-day events that we're doing. So they're really busy. So anything new is always kind of, how do you fit that in?
Right.
And the other thing is this other venture, GoalFriends, is completely new. Yeah. And it's mine, and it's not part of my original organization. So I'm having to sort of reinvent, and what's happening for me is I'm appreciating my team a lot more for all the people that do what they do, because I'm starting at the ground, and it's hard. It is. It's really hard. It's like, to learn everything you need to know about Facebook, to be writing the right copy, to creating all the programs online, to who's running the back end. Are you using Confusionsoft or Ontraport? Whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. So I'm almost glad that it was sort of boots on the ground when I started working, because it was, at some level, it was just as hard, but it just seemed less complicated.
Yeah.
Maybe because I had a 29-year-old brain and not a 52-year-old brain.
Could be. But paper is also less complicated than computers.
Yeah, when you can't see what's behind it, and it's not all there. It's difficult, and it takes a lot of work, and it takes finding the right team members. And if you don't understand how to get from here to here, it's very difficult to vet who's going to get you from here to here.
Yeah. Interesting though that you're, even at the, with all the experiences and successes under your belt, you're still kind of like struggling and learning with the same stuff that all of us are, which is the fundamentals of the fundamentals of this moment, right? Which are segmentation, how to be relevant, how to deal with the giant ad platforms, how to create traffic or whatever it is, right? Very interesting. So, what is working? Like, have you had a breakthrough in recently that has changed things for you?
Well, a couple things really. I mean, for me, I'm one that doesn't really believe in bombarding people at this point with a bunch of different funnels and so forth. I've been testing speaking to individual audiences a little bit more. For example, our luxury retreats. It's very high end, it's very expensive, and I didn't want to, I just said, this is what it is, here's what it costs, and I need 24 yeses, and that works.
And you say that via email? Via broadcast email too? Pretty
much. I mean, I don't say this is what it costs and this is how, but I said to my team, let's not do the whole funnel opt-in kind of thing. It's very exclusive. It's only 24 people. It's by application only, that kind of thing. So that's working pretty well.
Just keeping it simple.
It just keeping it simple. And I think for me, I don't know about you, but sometimes at this point, I just want to say yes or no. So it's maybe that's a little anti-norm, but that's sort of where I'm at. What else is working is taking our program that we have and the certification we have and putting it online. I think we had 500 people in 6 years, and we did like 1,200 people in the first year when we put it online.
Yeah.
And so that was like, can you really transform people's lives online? And we shot it all live, so there's a lot of processing, and it's amazing the results we've had. So that's really working.
Cool.
And this GoalFriends thing is really working. I think women really want to have the community and the collaboration and the confidence that they need to go out and do whatever's next for them, and that's sort of working as well.
Yeah, good. So you have created a lot, and you're still going. But what is it kind of like all for when you kind of like look at the arc of your career, maybe even looking back, from the end? What would you like your legacy to have been?
That I made a difference in other people's lives. It's really what it's about. It's when I get letters from people and the things that they do, and I'll never forget the first testimonial I got for the online program that we created. Because I was working on it thinking maybe I'm crazy, I've lost my mind, I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid, when you get into these places.
Yeah.
And the first video I got, my sales gal brought it to my house, and she said, I want to play you a video. And this guy said, I work in the in the auto industry, in the service department, and I went through your program and my life has changed forever. Yeah. And I was just, it was someone I never thought I would touch, and I was hysterical. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not crazy, and we're changing the auto industry. This is amazing. But you get, when you do it right, and when it's good content, and when you're coming from a place of really wanting to give people breakthroughs, to make their lives better, to improve their relationships, to all the different areas of their lives, and you really mean it, it's so unbelievably rewarding. It's what keeps me going, because I work a lot.
Yeah.
And I love it because of that. It's not about me.
Yeah. So we've called this thing Modern Entrepreneur. We're trying to point to what the unique opportunities of this moment are. Things have changed, as you know, so much over the last, even just a few years, let alone a few decades. What are the kind of unique opportunities that you see that are available to entrepreneurs today, and maybe what are the unique responsibilities that entrepreneurs have?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I would say, for starters, you figure out whatever it is that you're passionate about. I have kids right now that one son's graduating from college, the other one's a sophomore, and my senior is starting to kind of freak out a little bit. And I'm pushing him, what is it that you love to do? Don't come from a place of, hey, where can I make money? Because you and I both know running a business, it's not easy. And so you really have to love whatever it is you're doing. And I think a lot of people are kind of complaining about millennials and, well, they don't have the same work ethic, but maybe they're coming from a different place. Maybe we should back up a little bit and say, well, what would it look like for you in the perfect environment? What would you like to tell us? So I think we have an opportunity to bring in these young kids that are completely talented, who grew up on video games, and give them a chance, give them what they need, give them permission to step up and see where they can take us, and not be threatened by that, and really look at it from a different standpoint. I think that's a big opportunity for a lot of us today.
Yeah.
And it's really not embracing change, it's really embracing opportunity and what they know. And it's about encouraging them. You know, when our kids learn to ride a bike, we're like, come on, you can do it, you can do it. And so welcoming those new ideas and giving people space to have them, because that's really what makes the world work.
Yeah. Awesome, Patty. Thank you so much for
You're
being here. It's
welcome.
been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure to have you. Would you sign our wall?
I would.
Good.